What's up and welcome back to another live unboxing with the Razer Blade 16. This features an RTX 4080, a QHD 240Hz display that's supposed to be about 500 nits bright. And we've got an exclusive Razer skin from pre-ordering the laptop. I'm going to try to put this on, I think, today, if it's not too complicated. We're going to take the bottom off. We're going to do a flex test. We're going to do a display test. We're going to do some basic benchmarks with Cinebench R23 and Timespy. And then we're going to load into Hogwarts, the magical world. And we're going to get a wand. It's like the wand selection time in the game. That's where we're at. We're in Hogsmeade. We've been doing the Hogwarts each live stream for a little bit. So we're going to keep progressing the story with each laptop that we do, and it'll be interesting. We'll also test the performance of this laptop. We're going to see what kind of FPS it gets, as well as what kind of overall performance we can expect, hopefully, using Cinebench and Timespy. So just some basic benchmarks, obviously not definitive, and they'll be doing a full live benchmarking of this laptop, as well as the Blade 18 coming up with the 4090. So this is the 4080, then I'll do a 4090 with the Blade 18. That should be coming in maybe today, tomorrow. That might be it right there at the door. Actually, someone just, I think, dropped a package off right now. So anyway, all right, so we'll do the laptop first, and then we'll do the Razer skin. So this is the box that comes in. I have not opened this yet, but I did check to see if there was, I already cut the tape, but haven't opened it yet. So let's switch camera angles. I suppose this is fine for right now. Oh, there is a little box inside this box. Okay, so this was inside of a box, and now we've got another box inside of that box with some air coiling. All right. Boom. Koala says, I'll tell you something, I appreciate the lives doing laptop gaming. Yeah, I mean, it's cool, I think, to be able to see the live performance, right? It's different than just pre-recorded benchmarks. So let's switch the camera angle to this one. Here we are. So let's first take a look at the GAN power adapter, yeah? Because this is supposed to be smaller than most of the other ones. Oh, wow. That is so much smaller. That's what she said. But moving on. So this is so much smaller than the competition. And this is a 330 watt, right? This is a 330 watt power. It's so tiny. Let me get you some references here. Okay. This Mama Jama is for the Alienware M16. This Mama Jama is for the Strix G18. It's about, I don't know, 20% smaller than this one. And this one is half the size of the Asus. Like, we'll put this, try to put these up here for you. That is such a big difference. Right? I mean, look at that. It's probably only a quarter the size of the Alienware. Maybe a third the size of the Alienware. And then about half the size of the Asus. Incredible. And they're all 330 watt power adapters. That definitely makes the Blade series much more portable friendly. Okay, so this power cable is not that long. Only about 4 feet long. Not great, Razer. This should be 6 feet long. This cable, at least one of these should be 6 feet. Okay, this one is like more than my arm span. So one of the cables is at least long enough. That makes them competitive because most of the other laptop cables are about the same. But it actually is probably a little better this way because that way you can have the power brick on the ground more often, and then this can reach up onto the table and plug into the laptop or whatever. So that is, I like this setup from the Razer cable, and you got this nice default built-in rubber strap on it that the other laptops don't have. I don't think. No. The Asus one has a Velcro strap, but this rubber one is definitely higher quality. So that's the Razer premium experience that you're getting for the extra money, at least part of it, right? Dun, 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 dun. Shwoom. So this is kind of cool. Razer has a Go Green with Razer. At Razer, we play hard, play fair. We want to ensure the world remains an arena we can all continue to play in with the goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2030. That's cool. So they have greener packaging overall than before. I appreciate that. Good job. All right. So they use soy ink. They have no chemical glue on the box. And wood was harvested from sustainable forests. Biodegradable airbags. So instead of plastic airbags that are non-biodegradable. And the entire packaging is purposely designed to be as recyclable and sustainable as possible. That's awesome. The Razer premiumness doesn't just translate to the product. It also makes things more green. So if you like that, that's good. All right, so here is the Blade 16. Okay, so let's take the plastic off. Are you guys ready to hear this plastic come off? Ooh, that's nice sounding. Voila. The first fingerprints are already on there. What else is in the box? All right, we've got these papers. So let's see what's inside of these pieces of paper. We got a microfiber cloth for your fingerprints. That's going to be needed. Blade 16 quick guide. I think you guys can see that okay. So all the indicators and a quick guide on setting up the laptop. Instructing you to plug the laptop in before you turn it on. So you got a laptop in your hands. It has a 1-year manufacturer warranty and a 2-year battery warranty because there was a lot of Razer Blade laptops that had battery bloating issues. So Razer's extended the warranty an extra year on the battery in particular to try to increase consumer confidence in their products again. In general, my recommendation for most laptop purchases is to try to get a third-party extended warranty from a good place, like Best Buy potentially. That's my general recommendation if you want to keep a laptop for a long time. So that way you don't have to rely on the manufacturer warranty. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And in general, I think it can be hard to get a person on the horn and talk to someone at Razer. So that's the main downside, I think, to support. And I ran into that issue when ordering this laptop. I had a hard time getting someone on the phone. So let's see. For the stickers, we have a Razer logo sticker, Razer Chroma RGB, 4 gamers by gamers, and then another Razer logo sticker. So we got 4 stickers on there. Pretty sweet. I don't think I would ever use the stickers, but it is what it is. Oh, that is. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I really wish Razer would offer this laptop with a RTX 4090 and a QHD 240Hz display, and at a reduced cost, because it should cost less than their dual native 4K 120Hz and full HD 240Hz. So if you don't know, basically Razer offers 2 major configurations. Let's talk about them for a second because it's important for you guys to know this. All right, so if you haven't seen my laptop list, you should go check it out. It's in the video description. At least go check it out after the live stream. All right, so you can get, on here, there are links to buy nearly every laptop that's come out so far for RTX 4000 series. You can see my thoughts and my initial ratings, impressions of them here. We have benchmark information for a ton of laptops in here now with Timespy, Cinebench, and we're going to be continuously adding Red Dead, God of War, and Cyberpunk benchmarks. And yeah, so there's, on this list, if you go through to like the Razer Blade 16, this is the exact model right here. It costs $35.99 for this laptop. If you click the expand button, if you're on mobile, you can also just tap on the line anywhere, and it'll pop up. You can see photos of the laptop, which we have right here in front of me right now. But you can see my ratings here. You can also read a mini review of me talking about the laptop, what my thoughts on the laptop are. And we also have benchmark sources available now too. So if you see the benchmark sources section here, you can click on that and it'll take you to wherever we got the benchmark numbers. So you can find other reviews of products. all in a centrally located place, as well as by locations. Look at this place. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different places you can buy this Blade 18, all located on this sheet. And we're going to try to continue adding more links, including international links to the Europe, UK, India, all over wherever Amazon is sold, some Asian markets. We're going to try to do it all. I got a team of people helping me now add stuff to this, and we're updating the list daily. So, and there's been a ton of new laptops added to this list. The Dragon Range CPUs have been added to the list. So the Scar 17, I ordered one of those last night. It has the new Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9 7945. Let me see if I can find it. So Scar 17, this guy right here, this is the new one, and it's available on Newegg for back order for $34.99. This was added. This was a really interesting laptop, 16:9 aspect ratio display, but a smaller overall form factor than the 18-inch version. So you get trade-offs there. Overall, this thing should be a rockin' freaking awesome laptop. So I'm really looking forward to reviewing this guy. So this is going to come in the mail at some point. So subscribe. Be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that live unboxing, benchmarking, and review. And same for this. I'm going to do detailed reviews on all of this stuff. So when it comes to the Blade 16, let's talk about the different models real quick before we move on. So the Blade 16. If you filter, so notice on the left, I just filtered. I just typed in Blade 16 on the left, and it came up with all the different available configs that you can buy with the Blade 16, including the 4060, 4070, and 40, yeah, there's two 4070s configs options available. But you can see it starts at $26.99 for the Blade 16. And the model I got is right here. It is available for order. This version that I got today is available for order. And it's the version I would buy because I don't personally want to use the 4K 120Hz display with a full HD 240Hz. What I would want is the QHD 240Hz with an RTX 4090 if I was buying this myself. That said, I think I'm going to go for the Blade 18, not the 16, if I end up sticking with Razer this year for my main laptop. All right. That's the sheet. Those are the configs that you can buy with the Blade 16. I hope that info is helpful to you. Overall, I think the best bang for the buck, one of these is probably going to be the 4080, the one I'm on right now, because there's going to be a big performance jump between a 4070 and 4080, but maybe the 4070 will also be a good option at the $29.99 price point. But we'll have to see the performance of the 4070. My hopes are not super high that it'll be much faster than a 3070 Ti. It'll probably be a little faster than that, but not too much. I don't know. We'll have to see. There's been a few leaks indicating mediocre performance, but those are just leaks and it's hard to know for sure. So, yeah. Okay. Laptop time. Let's take the bottom off. All right. First thing we do, pretty much everyone, before we turn them on, we're going to take the bottom off during these live these live unboxings. Man, I can't. Well, before we do that, let's also quickly compare the size. First up, Strix G18. Boom. That's an 18-inch monster, all right? Alienware M16. I'm going to line up the back corner so you guys can see the front. All right, so the M16 is like the same depth, pretty much, but the 18-inch version, the Strix G18 is basically wider, okay? All right, and here is the Blade 16. Look at the size difference. The Blade 16 is still quite a bit smaller. Even though it's thicker and bigger than ever before, it's still much smaller than the competition, okay? So that's the very important thing to keep in mind about the Blade series this year. It's not tiny like it used to be, but it's still much smaller than the competition. All right. And you got to keep that in mind when we're looking at those performance numbers, because it's very hard to engineer a full performance TDP computer when the actual size of the machine is much smaller. For the internal cooling on this guy, you can see that we have two primary intakes here and here. There's more intakes here along the side, the front up here. There's another intake line in the vents right here and right here as well. And these right here are primarily speaker outputs, but they might have some air intake coming in there. And there may also be some air intakes on the keyboard as well. For this laptop, you're definitely going to want your Torx screw set. It looks like it's a, yeah, so you're gonna need a T5 Torx screwdriver, all right? And if you need to access the bottom of your Razer blade, I recommend something like this iFixit kit. You don't have to use this one. There is links in the description down below if you want to pick up this exact kit. It's got a lot of nice features that some laptop take-apart kits just don't have. So, all right. So let's see if we can get this bottom off. Oh, it's very easy to get the bottom off. Just got my fingernail in there. Is there any more screws here? I don't want to just pry it up. I want to kind of gently lift this sucker off, especially on this back side. It looks like there's some kind of latches on the back. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that was very easy to get the bottom off compared to most laptops. Yeah, no pop-up screws required. Just use your fingernail and it comes right up. So, boom. There we are. Now, this features a vapor chamber cooling system, all right? The TDP on the CPU is supposed to be sustained at 110 watts, and the GPU should be able to go to 175 watts. So, quick analysis, we have our battery pack right here. Now, notice this might have two primary cells here. If you need to unplug the battery, you got to either unplug it here or here. All right. And notice there's this little warning right here. Power off before operation. Okay, so they want to make sure you turn off your machine before you modify this. We have our two primary fans here and here. And I should probably not use a metal screwdriver for this. Two primary fans here and here. And our two primary speakers. So let me just do a fresh limit here. All right. So our battery pack is, it says 6182 mAh, but I'm looking for the watt hours. It's times 15.4 volts. So you basically multiply those together and you get your watt hours, I believe. I think it's either 90 or 95. I think it's 95. Jamadi says 95. Okay, yeah, you just gotta multiply those together and you get your number. Anyway, so we have our Wi-Fi right here, and this is a little power sync cable covering it. I guess it's designed to help reduce the temperature on the Wi-Fi. Maybe the Wi-Fi has a tendency to get hot. I don't know. Now this is the two fans right here and our vapor chamber cooling for our GPU and our CPU. And notice the vapor chamber comes out to the rear fins here. And so the way a vapor chamber works is the vapor gets hot near the parts, near the hottest points like the VRMs, the GPU, the CPU. And then as it heats up, it travels to the fins over here and then it cools down. And I believe it can become a liquid again, or at least basically the coolness as it cools down makes it travel back to the source of the heat. And then it becomes a vapor again as it heats up and goes to the fins. And so it's basically a constant heat transfer from the hottest areas of the laptop to the coolest areas, which is where the fins are gonna be. Now the M.2 slots are very interesting because they're stacked on top of each other over here, I believe. That is what this is what this is, I believe. I need to try taking it off because I was not expecting that. That makes it probably not compatible with a lot of different SSDs because maybe double-sided SSDs won't fit. Okay, so screw number one. I need a bigger, it's interesting, I need two different screwdrivers to be able to access the M.2 slot. All right. Now notice that the screws in this laptop or on this screwdriver are magnetic. So it makes it a lot easier to get these little screws up. It's like one of the things that I'm talking about with this iFixit kit. It helps. So there is the M.2 slots. So you have one laid out like this, and then you have another one that goes right on top of the other one, which I could see that maybe causing overheating issues with the SSD under sustained transfer or really heavy data loads. It's hard to know for sure, but it'd be one thing maybe to check that you might not run into with another laptop. It's really efficient use of space. Like there is basically no extra space on this laptop that is not being utilized. This whole board is filled up. This is such a stark contrast compared to the Strix G18 where there's so much extra space. The Alienware M16 at least utilizes the space to put four M.2 SSDs in the laptop, though 2 of them are the short kind of SSD instead of the big kind. Beautiful. So that's the interior. The underside, also, it looks like this is the CMOS battery right here. It makes it easy to pop that out if you need to reset the BIOS. I like that. Our cover. Overall, I am impressed with Razer's internal design, except maybe the M.2s being stacked on top of one another. That is probably not the most thermally efficient way to do it, and also likely will limit which SSDs you're going to be able to put into this system to only single-sided SSDs. Or maybe not. I could be wrong. You know, I could be wrong there. So I've got to make sure these are lined up correctly. That's why I do it. I'm alternating to the other side. It's interesting because this bottom does not pop in. Like most laptop bottoms for the last few years have you have to pop it into the chassis to make sure it's a firm, stable bottom. And I guess because it's a Razer unibody chassis, we don't have to do that. Overall, definitely leaves me feeling pretty impressed with the internal layout of the Blade 16. Now the real question is, what's the performance going to be like, especially under sustained loads? That's like my biggest question right now for the Blade 16. It's very easy to access the bottom, I would say. Easier than average. Probably the easiest laptop bottom I've opened in, I don't know, a long time. Maybe the Alienware Area 51M may be the only one that's been easier in recent period of time. So, okay, so already we're getting fingerprints on this bad guy. It's happening. We barely touched it a few times. I'm a little bit sweaty in the fingers, but still, it's very much a fingerprint magnet, all right? Power adapter, I believe, is on the left side. And just to test it, so you can go in that way, and if you need to, can it go the other way? Yeah, so you can plug it in either direction, depending on what's easiest for you. I don't think you can see that. Basically, you can plug it in left or right. See that? That's kind of, it's convenient that way. Not all power adapters that are designed like this can do that. Like press the power button, and we have liftoff, everyone. Woohoo! So we are going to do Cinebench R23, Timespy GPU, and then we're going to get into Hogwarts Legacy and see the performance in that game. So right here you can see the first sticker. It says RTX 4080 with 12 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM, 13th gen i9-13950HX processor, 24 cores, 32 threads, with 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM and vapor chamber cooling. So 16-inch QHD 2560 by 1600 ultra fast refresh rate. All right, so going around the laptop, starting at the right side, press no flex whatsoever, a tiny little bit of bend, but it feels incredibly solid. A little bit more flex at the top, just a bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Now going over the keyboard, all right? So this is the area, this is the weakest area of almost every laptop, the center middle, right above the touchpad. And there's just a little bit of flex there, but it still feels incredibly solid, just in general. All right, so let's go ahead and do some typing tests, and I'll show you the mouse pad here. Look at how big this sucker is. It is an enormous touchpad. And I hope the software drivers are good to prevent accidental touches, because like it's gonna be pretty often that your this part of your wrist is gonna touch the touchpad. So it might be an issue. But out of the box here, nothing's touching. So that's good. And this keyboard does feel good. I like the feel of this keyboard in terms of actual touching, like the actual feel of the keys and the action of the keys. It's not the same as a mechanical keyboard, that's for sure, but it's not bad. All right, let's go ahead and check out the webcam. Ooh, okay. All right, so this is me talking to the Razer Blade 16. How does it sound? What's going on? I think the image is pretty dang grainy. It's about the same exact that I've seen on most gaming laptops out there. It's not awful. It's not amazing. It'll work if the webcam window is very small, or if the bitrate you're talking with someone is very weak. But overall, the webcam is a 7 out of 10 at most, somewhere in that range, 6, 7 out of 10. Got to go to the Blade 18. Hopefully, I'm holding out hope that the Blade 18 webcam is going to be actually really great because it's a 5 megapixel webcam, this is only a 1080p one. So anyway, we'll see. Webcam could still be improved, y'all. So yes. See what's new. Are we ready to see what's new on Razer Synapse? Let's find out what's new, y'all. Quick access to all your favorite devices along the top. So they have a new tab system. Complete control, easily control all of your profiles and link them to your favorite games. Create a virtual infinite number of profiles that are stored automatically on the cloud. Devices with Razer hybrid storage can also store profiles directly to the device. All right, get started. Your dashboard displays all of your active devices. Okay, so we're on the dashboard right now. We can click on the Blade 16. It jumps to the System tab. Gaming mode, you can turn on, always on, or enable in-game. Touchpad properties, you can open Windows Precision touchpad settings. I don't think there's going to be much in here that you'd want to adjust. I changed the scroll direction. Razer Hypershift, you can assign additional functions to the same button or key without interfering with its default input. Performance mode. Plugged in battery, there's nothing there. I don't know why there's nothing there. Battery refresh rate, switch laptop to 60 Hertz when on battery. I would check that as yes. Battery charge limiter. I would probably set this to 80% as my default, unless I know I'm going to be traveling a lot for that week or whatever. Then I would set it to 100. But if you know you're not going to be traveling, you can set it all the way down to 50% to maximize the longevity of your battery, which is 50% is the recommended level if you want maximum length of life. Like a lithium-ion battery should last 10 years if you take care of it and you don't overcharge it constantly. And 80% is the highest you want to charge it for a long-term storage. Advanced effects are applied across multiple Razer Chroma-enabled devices. So you can pair like wall lights and other things all to one light scheme. Like I think the lights on the wall behind me could be paired to this. I think maybe not. I know Philips Hue lights can. I don't know about Nanoleaf. I have Nanoleaf light. System lighting. You can turn the brightness on. Interesting. I feel like we might need to do an update or something because some of the things are not showing up as options here. Let's see if there's an update anywhere. Okay, it's downloading the new version of Razer Synapse. So I'm curious what the new version is going to be like. It's there under performance. So now that we updated it, maybe it'll be available in performance mode now. There we go. Now that we've updated it. All right, so where CPU overclocking? I don't see any undervolting. Do you guys see undervolting? So CPU, we're going to go to boost. We're going to go to CPU overclocking. Ensure you have the latest BIOS patch, latest Windows updates, and have undervolt protection enabled in BIOS. Interesting. So Razer is going to let us overclock the CPU. This is new to me. I did not think that we were going to be able to do this. You also have to disable Windows core isolation and hyper virtualization must be disabled. Awesome. So we need to, let's do it. I mean, I'm tempted to see just like what the default is on high or boost. If I hit high and boost, let's see what that is first, and then we'll mess with the overclocking and trying to see if we can undervolt. All right, so display calibration, let's do it. Not display analysis is what we're gonna do here. All right, so we're nice and flush. Measurement in progress. Let me make sure. Yeah, the display should be. Yeah, display's already at 100% brightness. All right, so Spyder 5 is on the display. So now we're gonna set the brightness down to 0. We'll see how dark the display can get. This will also measure our contrast. Cheyenne says, this display is bad. It's not mini LED. That's just not true. This display is great. You're crazy. Most people, like you understand, like a year ago, 2 years ago, this display would have been the very best display money could buy. Pretty much. Like there was no 240 Hertz OLED 2 years ago. So this display is freaking rocking. All right. Now, something I always say with the Spyder 5 Elite, it doesn't measure the color gamut quite perfectly. It underestimates the color gamut by about 10% from what I've seen. That said, this is right in line with the other laptops that I have checked out. We got 100% of sRGB, which is expected, 92% of Adobe RGB, and 90% of the P3 color gamut. I'm expecting this to actually be 100% coverage of the P3 color gamut or close to that. Same for the Adobe RGB. I need a better display checker. For brightness, we got 24.9 nits brightness on the 0% setting, on up to 478.8 nits brightness on the highest display setting. So at 100% brightness. And then we got a 970 to 1 contrast ratio at full brightness as well. So that's a little bit higher, I think, than the other machines out there. So not quite to the 500 nits rated. Could just be my display checker, or maybe it's just the center of the display is not quite that bright. Different areas around the display might have a slightly increased level of brightness. That's the way it is. Overall, I'm pleased with the stats. It matches close enough to the claims from Razer to validate their claims. Like I said, I need to get a better display checker tool. All right, so one thing I will say, Razer Synapse updated flawlessly, no problems with updating, unlike Alienware Command Center. Much better experience. It did it automatically, didn't have to do Windows Update or go through other download links or whatever. And everything's been pretty responsive. It doesn't take a long time when you load it to be able to use it. And the other thing I'll say is that the functionality of Synapse is better than it was in previous years. It's not as good as Asus's control software, but this is still a step in the right direction, and I'm proud of Razer. Okay. Obviously, I want to see what this CPU overclocking is like, but right now, if I click balance mode, I can set the fan to auto. The fans will basically be silent unless the laptop is under load. That's been my experience so far. Under manual fan, let's set the fans to max fans, and you guys will be able to hear it. So I'm holding it about a foot in front. I would say the fans are a bit whistly, not extremely loud. I'm guessing in the 50 to 52 decibels ballpark if I were to measure it. On max fans, okay? That's maximum fans, which is obviously going to be the loudest. And if you run it on like something like balanced, if you run it on balanced or silent or some other profile, it's going to not obviously get that loud unless you set the fans to max. Except when you're under the full load, maybe. Okay. So you can set the refresh rate to 60, 72, 75, 100, 120, or 144. Under battery mode, you can set it to switch to 60 hertz. For battery health, we've got it set to 50%. For lighting, we've got brightness of the keyboard at I'm going to set it to 100%. On battery life, well, let me set it to the default. It was 50% on battery. Logo, static or breathing. So let me try breathing. So there you can see that it's lit up. It's a pretty bright logo. Wait, okay, so the logo does turn off if you don't touch the computer, along with the keyboard. So look at the keyboard here. I've changed it to ambient awareness, and this changes the backlight of the keyboard based on what you have on your screen. So right now it's a white image, so it's going to be white. If I go to blue, is it going to change to blue? Let's do overall region. This is cool. So you get a constantly shifting keyboard backlight. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's shifting at least part of the keyboard backlight around. I don't know. It's cool, but I don't think I would probably use it. Let's do reactive. I don't know if you can see that, but basically the keys. So we're in reactive mode right now. The keys are gonna light up when you touch them. Now it's set to fire. Oh, the fire mode looks pretty sick. I like the fire mode. So reactive again is basically whatever you press. Spectrum cycling basically just changes the overall light. Starlight will let you change random colors being pressed all over the keyboard. Static, you can set the color to a specific color if you want green or red. Wave allows you to set the wave direction. I like wave a lot. I wish it was slower. I wish you could set it to be slower. The wheel, this is a lot like the Legion. It rotates around the center of the keyboard. To me, it's a bit quick though with the wave and the wheel. They should probably slow down how fast it moves so it's a little easier to track. All right, so we're gonna start with balanced auto. That's our first test. Okay. And we're in gaming mode. We're just gonna say always on. I don't know exactly everything that does. So we're gonna try auto balanced, gaming mode enabled, Cinebench R23. Let's see what we get. And let's also pull up HW info. Once you disable core isolation, you can use XTU as well, which is much more preferable to me because Synapse is a bit buggy and the offsets don't save. Interesting. Yeah, I prefer, I'm very familiar with Intel XTU, so that'll be my preferred method for overclocking. But maybe I kind of want to test how Razer has it with, you know, everything built in. First, we're doing balance mode. Let's see what we get in a single run. I'm very curious what our power limits are going to be. 55 watts for our CPU in balanced mode. So it is extremely tame. I'm not expecting a score that's very high. We don't want to do a 10-minute test. Let's let it run though. Let's let it run for a little bit and see what our fan noise, see if the fan noise kicks on or kicks up at all, if it's completely silent, if it's, let's give it at least like a minute or two here. Eric says, watching all this setting up makes me appreciate my MacBook, which is ready out of the box. So the thing is, you don't have to do all of this setup. I'm doing it for benchmarking, reliability and consistency's sake, making sure that we have the latest control software and driver update can help ensure that the benchmark results are fairest and most consistent across all of the different devices. So right now, our core clocks are only 2.2 gigahertz. The laptop is completely silent. I don't hear the fans at all in balanced mode. Our temperatures are only 68 degrees. So this is long-term, easily sustainable, low performance. It's like a silent mode to me. Balanced mode is like a silent mode. I don't think it's supposed to be that way. That's interesting to me that Razer has set that up like that. I feel like balance mode should go up to like 80 or 90 watts and the fans should kick on enough to where you hear them. That's what I was expecting for balance mode, but anyway, interesting. What is the decibel at max fans? I think it's about 51 decibels. The Razer says they rated at 50, but I don't know. They're probably testing it a little differently than me. If I were guessing, at least it'd be 51, 52. 17,777. So not much performance on balance mode. Let's go to custom. We're set on everything on high, on boost. Now let's find out what we got going on. Our wattage, 136, 133, 131. We're getting much higher performance now. Our temps are also boosting up to 90. Fans are ramping up. I can hear them. They're not quite max fans yet. They're getting close. We're at 3.8 gigahertz on the cores. This is much better performance. It's not peak performance like we saw. 28,276. Not bad. Not bad at all. That's excellent. Especially for a Razer. For a Razer laptop. It's excellent. I'm also going to raise the back like I usually do for each laptop with my external SSD. Just a little bit extra airflow that way. All right. So our temps, we have bounced off the 100-degree mark, but right now they're at 86. TDP is 126, 133, 112, 105. We got 27,973 for our second run. So there's a huge performance difference when you use Razer Synapse and you set it to boost mode. It more than doubled the performance of the TDP going into the CPU. So huge, huge difference. Right now we're dropping down to that 110 watts voltage range. I love that Razer is allowing us to overclock an Intel XTU though. So let me set this to a 10-minute test and let's see what we get with a 10-minute test. All right. And I'm very curious what our average TDP is and our average clock speeds and all of that. So actually, hold on. let's give it a minute to cool down, 30 seconds, whatever, and then we'll start it so it's a little bit more fair. This Razer laptop is underperforming yet? No. This is performing as Razer as advertised and is exactly as I expected it would be. Honestly, it surprised me that Razer is allowing us to increase the power limits if we wish. This is the first time I've ever seen that in a Razer product, and I'm really impressed with that choice. Okay, so we're starting the 10-minute test now. Let's see what our average clock speed, see what our average TDP is. We're pulling 135, so basically we pull 135 watts to the CPU at the high end for our short-term power boost limit out of the box, and then I think it goes down to like 110, which is not as high as what like Asus does. Asus on the Strix G18 does 175, and then it comes down to 140. The Alienware laptop was 55 out of the box. It was terrible. Needs a software update. I think it will probably get software updates very soon. I don't anticipate them leaving it like that. But if you use Intel XDU, you can easily boost the TDP power limits to be really high because it's unlocked. I love that. Though you probably, if you're going to do that, you're probably going to want to uninstall Alienware Command Center or use Throttle Stop or something. I don't know. All right, so taking a look at our averages right now, we're averaging 122 watts on the run so far. We boosted up to 120, 116. It was 106 right now. Let me zoom in on the clock so you can see a little bit better. So far, we're averaging 116 watts of power to the CPU. Our average temperature is 87 degrees Celsius. This is with CPU in boost mode. Overall, pretty freaking impressive for out of the box on a Blade laptop. Not going to beat the competition, though. This is definitely not going to be as fast or as high a score as what we saw with the Strix G18. Probably what we're going to see with the Strix Scar 16. Not going to be as fast as... It's not going to be as fast as, what am I trying to say? The Alienware M16 or M18, GT77. This is not going to be as fast as those because the power limit's not going to be as high. Now, if we go through an undervolt and overclock the CPU, which I will try to do that for the benchmarks stream, not this stream. I'm going to go through and troubleshoot how to do that. And then I'll walk you guys through how to do it quickly so it's a little more streamlined. And then what we'll do is we'll see what kind of performance we can get when it's undervolted and overclocked, or increased the power limit, basically, which is like pseudo overclocking. It should, I believe, with an undervolt and an overclock, we should be at least much more competitive with this laptop. I think we'd be able to sustain probably close to 130 watts of power, 140 watts of power, maybe matching the Strix G18 would be my guess. Our core temps right now are 81 degrees on average. Fantastic. Razer has dialed in where you're getting great performance and reasonable temps. If we undervolt and overclock, we'll probably be able to push the temps up to like 90, 95, maybe 100 nonstop. And I think our performance will be very close to what we're getting in the Alienware or Strix G18. So our CPU package power is 87, by the way. Our core temps, though, are only 81. Our overall CPU averages are 3.5, 3.6. So undervolt, increase the power limit, and I think we'd be able to bump those core frequencies probably up to 3.8, 3.9, maybe even over 4 gigahertz. That would be the target I would shoot for, probably with overclocking and undervolting this machine. But okay, so we got 26,683 for our 10-minute out-of-the-box test. I'm pretty sure we could push this close to 29 to 30,000 with an undervolt and an overclock. Oh, let's do a speaker test. You guys want a speaker test? I want to hear the speakers on this thing really bad. There is a best performance power mode. Usually this doesn't change anything, though. I mean, let's fire it up and check, but this usually doesn't change any power limits or anything like that. Yeah, so our power limits are the same. We're hitting basically the same levels of performance. I don't think our score will be any different by changing the power profile in Windows. So let's go ahead and move on. to a speaker test. For speakers, there are downward firing speakers, I believe, on the left and right here, as well as upward firing speakers along the left and right of the keyboard. So we're looking for audio separation on the left and right, and then we're also looking for increased volume overall. Oh god. You sure you can handle? Yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, we the one. Yeah. Throw dirt. Okay, so audio is fantastic. It is probably a 9.5 out of 10. It's not perfect. Maybe it's a 9 out of 10. I think the highs and mids could be better. We're definitely getting some bass. We got excellent overall volume. I'm impressed overall with the speakers. I think most people will be able to really enjoy their gaming experience and listening to music and watching movies a bit better than the other laptops on the market, which again, you're paying the premium Razer tax. That's one of the benefits you get is better speakers than some of the competition laptops, right? So it's definitely a noticeable step up in terms of speaker quality. And I've heard the Blade 18 is also a nice jump up. I can't wait to test that one as well. Compared to an Apple laptop, Apple laptops are the 10 out of 10. I've owned Apple laptops. They have the best clarity, the best mids, the best highs, the best bass. This is still not quite as good as an Apple laptop. So we're going to make sure that our NVIDIA control panel is set to NVIDIA GPU only mode for the Timespy test. So you can see our GPU TDP is, whoa, it went to 187 there, but it's mainly around 160. 170, 185, 177. Whoa, it's kind of jumping all over, but our megahertz clock, our clock speed on the GPU on the 4080 is also pretty good, but it's not as high as what we were seeing on the Alienware M16, which was pulling more like 2400 megahertz and much more steadily pulling that 175 watts draw. So essentially what I'm seeing here is a little disappointing, just because I was really hoping we'd see a 175 watt draw nonstop, which is what we were seeing in the Strix G18. I mean, it's not 175 nonstop, but it's pretty much pegged to 172 to 175, very rarely dropping below that range. In this setup, we're getting closer to 150 to 165 most of the time, occasionally boosting to 175, but not very often. So this is definitely going to hurt our Timespy score. So this is your current average FPS. This is your average FPS, and this is your 1% lows. The current record in Timespy is set by a Razer 16. That may be possible, but look at our score. So 18,255. That's a good score. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not as high, with Alienware M16, when we're getting 2400 boost clock, 175 watts most of the time. That thing got, 19,200 or 19,300 or something. So almost 1,000 more points for the Alienware M16. I'm going to try balanced mode with max fans. I'm curious how that tunes, see if that changes our performance level. Notice our CPU score is also fairly low. That's only 12,237, which is not great. I was honestly expecting a higher CPU score. I think we were getting like 15,000 something in most of the other laptops that we tested. Man, the max fans on this is definitely not as loud as the Alienware M16 or the G18. The G18 was a little quieter than the M16, but this one's definitely the quietest max fans. So you'd get a fully tested laptop to make sure it all is working correctly. So another thing I want to test is try doing custom. I'm going to put CPU on medium, GPU on high. All right. And now we're going to do it one more time, because sometimes this can impact CPU performance. I'll try CPU on low. My old Razer had higher GPU TDPs when you set the CPU performance on the lower setting. I don't think that's going to happen here, but okay. So our GPU right here is not hitting very high. Sad. It's interesting. It's hitting only up to 150, which is even lower. So you want to set, if you want the highest performance GPU performance, you want to set it in Synapse in here to be GPU high, CPU boost. That gives you the most juice. All right, it's time. It's Hogwarts time. We're gonna have to mess with the settings. All right, so I'm overall impressed with this Razer Blade. I haven't done the full testing yet with the benchmarking, but overall, still very impressed. All right, we need to up the no cap on the frame rate. All right, that's better. Whew, that cap was really annoying. All right, so the other thing we need to do, we need to start testing. Let's see what it's like right now, out of the box. So right now we're not getting any, well, yep, no, we're still getting some 1% FPS drops. You can see our memory right here is up to 10 gigs used, over 10 gigs used. And basically we run out of VRAM and it's going to start stuttering on us. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set everything to ultra except texture quality. We're going to just drop it to low. And honestly, I can't, the low textures still look pretty dang good. It's kind of hard to tell. You can tell, but yeah. Is that a dead pixel area? Where? Where are you seeing dead pixel? I don't see any dead pixels so far. I haven't noticed any. Okay, we need to go into Ollivanders to get our wand. Let's see where it is. I can't remember. Yeah, it's just up ahead. Middle right. No, I don't see any. I don't see any dead pixels or bright pixels or anything. Maybe it's just an artifact of the camera or something. I don't know. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn the sound up real loud so you guys can hear the audio quality and everything, okay?
I'll be right with... Ah, it's you. Just a moment, please. Hello, sir. I'm looking for a new wand. Yes, it's about time. Yes, about time? Well, you're our new fifth-year student, are you not? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you are. Gerbold Ollivander's the name. But of course, you'll have heard of the Ollivanders, I'm sure. Finest wand makers in the world. It's a pleasure to meet you, truly. Now, come with me. Let's find you the perfect wand, shall we? No, not you. Yes.
Notice that we're getting 150 FPS, 83 1% lows. It's much better on our 1% lows now that we turn textures down.
Here, give this one a try. Well, go ahead, swish. How odd. Once more, come on, really swish it. Well, this isn't a good match at all, is it?
Does this laptop have Advanced Optimus? Yes, it does.
No. rare wood, 13 3/4 inches, dragon heartstring.
I want
Let's
to.
give this one a try.
I want to change the text to be a little smaller.
Oh, goodness.
There.
Looks like it's back to the shelf for you. This is proving to be trickier than I had anticipated. How perplexing. Where are you? Perhaps you? There you are.
So our CPU is pulling 63 watts, which is good. Our GPU is only pulling 140 to like 160 watts, I've noticed. So not as high a wattage as what we're seeing. That said, we're only hitting 90-something% GPU utilization. Oh, so here's where we can customize our wand.
How intriguing.
I like that one. That one looks cool. So you can change the type of wood.
Curious indeed.
9.5 inches. 14.5 inches. What does the wand size say about you as a person? I don't know. 12 inches, quite bendy. Let's do that. And let's do, is there cherry? We'll do cherry wood. And we'll do a phoenix feather.
Phoenix feather. Exceptionally rare. And a core with a strong sense of initiative.
Nice. Size matters.
What do you think?
God. Daniel Barrakeet says, my Blade 16 4K 120 is in my hands. Congrats, man.
Extraordinary. Another wand, another beginning of a bright and magical future. Now, how did that feel?
Good. Different. I sensed a sort of surge of some kind.
A match. Your connection seemed particularly powerful. The right wand will learn from you, just as you learn from it.
I'm eager to try it out.
Of course. And a phoenix feather core is terribly selective. This will be an excellent match indeed. And the bond between you and your wand should only grow stronger. Do not be surprised at your new wand's ability to perceive your intentions, particularly in a moment of need.
That sounds wonderful, Mr. Ollivander.
I'll let you get to it. Do come.
Okay, so one benchmark area that I thought would be good would be Hogsmeade. Just running around Hogsmeade, and because it's a really complex environment. Now that that little cutscene's over, I'll turn the sound down again and try to answer some questions in chat. Can we only play as a boy in the game? No, you can play as a boy or a girl, and there's lots of different options. So running up this road, so I accidentally touched the touchpad there. That's again one of the downsides of having a huge touchpad. So starting from this bridge, I'm gonna try running up this road. So we're sprinting up the road. And we'll just keep following the road to the left and then to the right. So we're getting 128 FPS. And we'll stop over here at this stand right here. Boom. Okay, so 128.42. And I'm also gonna see if I can do a save game here. But I'm also going to load up the central hall and do the same test that we've been doing. The only difference between this test and the other tests is that the main thing is we turn down textures to be low instead of high. We don't want Great Hall. We want... I thought we already came over here. Oh, we have to do the mission before we can... That's why. We have to do the mission before we're allowed to do that. So, we have to complete everything at Hogwarts before we're allowed to leave. Sorry, we have to complete everything at Hogsmeade before we can leave Hogsmeade. That's why it's not letting us teleport. We should have been able to teleport over there. Would you expect PWE dominance if connected to an external monitor? I'm not sure what you mean, PWE dominance. What do you think about the Aura 17X this year? I might buy it. I think it looks very promising. Okay, so that's the wrong load. We want to go back to... I want to go back like to over here, I think. How's the temperature on the palm rest and keyboard? It is warming up. This is a fact. It is sad. I think this might be one of the biggest differences between a Blade 16 and a Blade 18. The Blade 16 does not have the third fan in the middle of the back of the chassis, blowing air through the chassis and out the back. And right now my wrist rest is quite warm. It's not too hot to the touch. It's not like uncomfortably hot, but it is warmer than I would like, without a doubt. So Central Hall, there we go. What do you think about the... All right, sorry, I'm going to go back. I'm looking over the chat. I would consider buying a new one if there was an 18-inch Lenovo. That's an interesting thought. I think Lenovo really is going to miss out on the market share if they don't offer an 18-inch laptop soon. Okay, so we're going to do the same test. Through here, out this door. There is still a fairly low 1% low, but the actual stuttering is much reduced. Okay, so we got 141.18, which is less. That is less than what we were getting in previous laptops. I think we were getting like closer to 150, 152, 155 or something like that in the same test. Nick says, I've owned Blades, but every one's died in the last 2 years, within 2 years. That sucks, man. That's bad luck. I don't think Blades are going to die that often, frequently like that. Any laptop can die, though. Okay, so... What's our GPU temp? Our GPU temperature is 58 degrees. Our CPU is 82. We do high. Does that change anything? Yeah, so you definitely want to be in boost mode, I think, for the best performance. But I'm going to do another test here. One more test, just to verify the results. And then we're going to turn off DLSS and frame generation. We're going to do frame generation off first and then turn off DLSS and do raw rasterization. Okay, so 141.60, it's about the same. Is there a risk of backlight bleed in the mini LED? I don't think there's any more risk of backlight bleed than any normal laptop because the way it works, the mini LEDs can completely turn off. That's my understanding. All right, so we're going to turn frame generation off. So the first test was with frame generation and DLSS on quality, everything on ultra except textures. So now no frame generation. Let's see what we get. How many heat pipes does this have? It has none. It uses a vapor chamber cooling system for both the CPU and the GPU. It's interesting, the wattage we're pulling on the GPU went way down to like the 130s, 140s. Our GPU utilization is not nearly as high. We only got 8439. Let's go back. Would you go from an Alienware X15R1 3070 to the M16? That would be a pretty big upgrade, but I wouldn't necessarily stress it unless you think you could really benefit from the increased performance. A 3070 is still pretty strong this generation, or in the current set of games, so it's up to you though. So last test we got 8439. Let's go. DLSS is off. Frame generation is off. Now let's try running through. Why is our... Did it actually save? Because... we want none, I guess. It's like the settings were not correct. Yeah, we're getting like the same performance. Do you know about the i9 13980HX and the Razer 1618? It should be very similar to what we got in this. It should be very similar to what we have in this, but it's just... Okay, I'm just checking because it seems like it's different. You should get just slightly better performance in the 13980 version. How do you think this will compare to the XMG laptops, temperature and FPS-wise, without their liquid cooler? I think the XMG laptops are going to be a little bit faster out of the box. After you tune this, the XMG laptops should definitely be faster out of the box, especially for GPU power limit. That's going to be the biggest difference, I think. Okay, so we got 7327 with no DLSS or frame gen. Overall, let's do some overall takes on this and before we end the live stream, all right? So how do I think that this will compare to the XMG laptops temperature and FPS wise? I think the XMG laptops are going to have higher levels of performance. They are thicker and bigger laptops though, and it makes sense. They're also going to be noisier. The performance will be better. Not huge gap in performance, but there will be a gap, I think. On the liquid cooler, the XMG laptops will be dramatically faster. Like a noticeable, like 10, 15, 20% bump, I think, for the same specs. Let's talk my overall impressions. Build quality is rigid. It's really great build quality. The display is gorgeous. It's fantastic. The keyboard feels good. The touchpad is great. The touchpad's large, though. I kept doing accidental touches on the touchpad. That's the biggest drawback so far, in my opinion, on the touchpad. I dislike the arrow keys on the keyboard as well, but overall the keyboard backlight's great. Synapse has been dramatically improved and had a great experience in the software side of things on the Razer Synapse. The laptop chassis as a whole heated up quite a lot. The wrist rest is warm. It's very warm. I would say uncomfortably warm if you're going to game with your hand on it. It's not so warm that you can't game with it. You can, but at least in this overboost high performance mode, this is a warm wrist rest, which may turn a lot of people off from using this Blade 16. I personally would not buy this Blade 16 because of the wrist rest getting so warm. Because when I game on my laptop, I'm usually using the built-in keyboard. So having a warm wrist rest, it's a deal breaker for me personally when you're gaming. I'm hoping the Blade 18 has a cooler wrist rest because it has a third fan in the chassis blowing air through the fan, blowing air through the chassis. Hopefully that'll keep the chassis much cooler overall. CPU performance-wise in Cinebench was impressive for the Blade size. Not quite as fast as the fastest laptop so far that we've tested, but it's up there. And because you can undervolt and overclock by increasing the TDP, I think the performance will get even better with more testing. Fan noise on the Blade 16 was excellent. The quietest laptops so far that I've tested out of these three, the Alienware M16 and Strix G18, in-game performance was lower than the Alienware M16 and G18 because the TDPs on this laptop are lower. They're not 175. They're more like 150 to 160 in actual gameplay. And in Timespy as well, our score was lower because the TDP was lower. Overall, I still think a lot of people are going to love the Blade 16, but I really wish they could fix the hot chassis That I think is the biggest drawback right now for the Blade 16 versus the Blade versus the Alienware M16 and the Strix G18. The wrist rest stayed cool in that laptop. They had 4 fans in the Alienware M16 and 3 fans in the Strix G18. So the whole chassis stays much cooler. Plus the keyboard decks on both of those are not metal, so they tend to not become a heatsink and get super hot. Will they not run a 13980 HX version? The Razer and Razer SAD. I believe they are going to do a 13980 version at a later time. They just aren't initially offering it, so you just got to be patient for that. Which one would I buy? Alienware M16 or Blade 16? I would go with an M16 because of the cooler keyboard deck. That's my honest opinion. The Blade 16, if you can handle a hot or warm, a moderately warm wrist rest when gaming, the Blade 16 I think is going to be a really fantastic laptop. Plus, the performance on the M16 is better. It's a higher performance overall machine. So if I were to pick between the two, I'd go M16. The display on the Blade 16 is better, though. Which one do I choose, Razer 18 or Scar 18? That one's still up for debate because the Razer Blade 18 does have a 3rd fan in it, and we'll see when I get to testing it what I think. Will a skin help? Probably. Oh, we never did the skin. Let's at least take out the skin and take a look. This is the Razer skin. Let's open it up. Watcha! So this is a limited edition for people who pre-ordered the Blade 16 only. Microfiber cloth. And then, so here's the cutouts that you need to be able to put on there. And this is, I think, the back of the cutouts. So this looks like a really sick skin. The skin looks like a really high quality skin. Fan vent still hit the fan itself when pushed on. Are you talking about on the bottom? Yes. I just pushed on kind of pushed up the metal and it did brush the fan. Do I see the heat being messed up on the screen? So if you close the screen, the heat just comes out the back of the laptop. It doesn't hit the screen at all. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think the cooling will probably actually be a little better when it's closed, probably. I think that's all of the questions for today. Thank you so much for stopping by the live stream, and I'll hopefully have another live stream for you guys soon, maybe tomorrow afternoon. I hope you guys found this super, super helpful and can help you decide which laptop's right for you. Be sure to go check out the laptop list if you haven't already. There are tons of laptops on here with links and ratings and interesting stuff to look at. And we're updating it daily. So if you're looking for a laptop to come into stock, you can hit the follow list button and you'll get email notifications on the stock updates. So which laptops came into stock for the day, stuff like that. So shabam, shabuya. I'll see you in the next one. Brandon, out.